First and foremost, I'm sorry, it was exposed that all of the documents with Trump's information and name on it with regard to Epstein were flagged. They were ordered to be flagged. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, okay. Sounds good and normal. Sounds good and normal. The Murdoch Trump lawsuit, which will be fun. Okay, yeah, you know what? Let the millionaires and billionaires fight, actually. Let them fight. It is really funny, again, losing the PR war is Donald Trump and then being like, you know what I should do? After the guy who owns all of the media. That's a good idea. That'll play out well for me. That'll be a good play. But I mean, I'm not gonna, I won't stop it, all right? I'm happy to sit by and watch. So, Murdoch probably more so. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So we got that to talk about, all right? In a crazy story. Okay, I know this is going to be crazy, but imagine like a politics stream covering politics. What? That would never happen ever. All right, that would be crazy. Let's see Paul Allen's card.
Donald Trump went silent today all day about the scandal he is now drowning in because of his relationship with a child rapist, a rich child rapist, raper of children.
That's crazy that he said it so many times in so many different ways.
Who was found dead in his cell in a federal prison in Manhattan, awaiting federal trial for sex trafficking charges in a prison. And Donald Trump's social media post tonight at 6:51 p.m. announcing the lawsuit, calling it an historic legal action, does not demand the release of that letter. But Donald Trump does say in that post, I hope Rupert and his friends are looking forward to the many hours of depositions and testimonies they will have to provide in this case. And Rupert is...
But like, what's the game plan here? Excuse me. To force them to release the letter? Like what? And then what?
hoping that his friend Donald is...
There's a game plan? You think Trump's administration has a plan at all? Well, they have a concept of a plan.
looking forward to the same thing. Donald Trump's lawsuit, big if he continues to pursue it, would require that Donald Trump submit to a videotaped under oath deposition in which Rupert Murdoch's lawyers can ask Donald Trump all about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. They can ask Donald Trump under oath why Jeffrey Epstein said on tape, I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years. And they can ask Donald Trump under oath why he said publicly that I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. The Supreme Court precedent requires them to prove a defendant knowingly published a false statement or acted with reckless disregard for the truth.
I have to say, the Wall Street Journal lying about something like this would be insane. Besides it being unlikely, it would be insane. It'd be the end of everything? Yeah. I would be very shocked if, like, the Wall Street Journal was publishing complete and utter falsehoods. I mean, I feel like most people who understand the media and understand how the media gets away with manufacturing consent, you know that they don't just manufacture outright fake stories. They just refuse to cover stories that are important and instead cover things that are unimportant, that are distracting. They just spin the stories the way that they want them to be spun, or they just refuse to cover them. I.e., Fox News currently refusing to cover Epstein. Actively publishing a completely false narrative is something that, in general, only Fox News has engaged in. I mean, again, even like the way that every single piece of like legacy media has covered the conflict in like the genocide in Gaza. The way that they'll talk about it, or the way that they'll justify it, is by saying, well, so to be clear, Israel did tell us that there were weapons of war in those hospitals. They did say that they found some guns in an MRI machine, and we believe them. And you should believe them too. We can't share any more information. It's like, okay, got it. So you're going to say a bunch of shit that doesn't get you guys in any legal trouble, but manufactures consent for Israel to continue to genocide Gazans. Got it. Okay. Hamas calendar. This is Hamas calendar.
Donald Trump seems to love to face questions from reporters. And I say face questions, not answer questions.
Did you see the Fox morning crew embracing Nazis like the word, like the N-word, yes, I've
He
been
seems to
watch
love
that
the
with you guys.
attention. He seems to love being on camera. And he has absolutely no fear of ever being cornered by a reporter because he never feels himself under any obligation to actually answer the question that was asked, and usually says something completely irrelevant to the question and can go on at great lengths inventing crazy things about his uncle having a relationship with the Unabomber, his uncle, the professor, having the Unabomber as a student, which was complete fiction and insanity dreamed up by Donald Trump in one of his public speaking derangement moments. Donald Trump is terrified of those questions. The guy who is afraid to answer White House reporters' questions today is never going to agree to answer under oath questions about the same thing. That's what we know about Donald Trump. There's nothing Donald Trump works harder to avoid than under oath questions, and that's why the Wall Street Journal's report tonight about the lawsuit reminds you a number of his cases have been dismissed at early stages, and a number of Donald Trump's lawsuits have been dropped by Donald Trump so that he never has to testify under oath in depositions in those lawsuits.
I mean, more importantly, it's just so that his audience can be like, oh, I'm sorry, the fake Wall Street Journal, hoax media, Wall Street Journal, he's literally trying to sue them for defamation. And then, like, that's the new talking point, like, that's the new chip in the brain. And then when he eventually drops it, they don't even keep up with it. I mean, there was someone in here defending Trump, saying that Trump did not get punished for sexually abusing, I'm blanking on her name. It's not Stormy Daniels. It's someone else. Jean Carroll. Yes. And they were like, oh, he literally didn't even get punished. He literally went free. And I was like, it was a civil case. Hello? What are you fucking talking about? He paid out millions of dollars in this civil case because they found him to be, well, I don't know that guilty would be the right word, but they found him liable. Like, it's like, yeah, well, that was a civil case, not a criminal case, so it doesn't really matter. It's like, you literally just said that he was innocent on all charges because you didn't even know that it was not a criminal case, that it was a civil case. And also, you didn't know that he lost over $5 million losing this case. And it's like, well, Mr. Trump didn't say so, so nice try.
A lot of them are just stunts that go nowhere and are intended to go nowhere. A lot of Donald Trump's lawsuits are designed to get him through the news day. He said that he called up Rupert Murdoch and told him that the letter was fake. Rupert Murdoch has already lost over $700 million in lawsuits because of Donald Trump. Rupert Murdoch lost $767 million judgment for lying about voting machines for Donald Trump. Rupert Murdoch knows that he can lose lawsuits because he's done it before. Rupert Murdoch is a 94-year-old billionaire on his fifth wife,
so funny,
who does not want to lose a lawsuit again. Rupert Murdoch knew that Donald Trump was threatening to sue when Rupert Murdoch approved the Wall Street Journal running this story. Last night, in his social media post, Donald Trump said that Rupert Murdoch, quote, stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. That was his attempt, I guess, to insult Rupert Murdoch. And I told Rupert Murdoch can prevent anything from being published in the Wall Street Journal. Yes, he does have that power. And in Donald Trump's lawsuit today, Donald Trump tells a different story, saying that Rupert Murdoch authorized the publication of the article after President Trump put them on notice that the letter was fake and non-existent.
No, dude, no, no, no.
Rupert Murdoch had 2 days, 2 full days to slow down and think about publishing this article after being threatened with a lawsuit by Donald Trump. Dow Jones to cease and desist from publishing, disseminating, or otherwise distributing such information because it was false and defamatory. None of the defendants responded to the email. Donald Trump's lawsuit now says that the article was published, quote, at the direction of defendant Murdoch. The Trump lawsuit identifies specific defamatory statements. And one of the specific defamations the lawsuit claims is that the article is reporting that the article was, quote, falsely claiming without substantiation that President Trump is a friend, pal, or family of Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein claimed in a recorded interview.
I want to get the quote right. Sorry, I want to get the, where is it? I want to get the Epstein's a great guy quote. Let's play it while I try and find it.
During the first year of Donald Trump's presidency, to be Donald Trump's closest friend. He said he was Donald Trump's closest friend for.
Here we go. This article that came out recently from The Guardian, July 18th. Actually, it came out yesterday. He's a lot of fun to be with. Trump and Epstein were close friends for 15 years. As Trump tries to claim he was not a fan of Epstein, photos, videos, and anecdotes paint a picture of their relationship. It was a friendship that spanned 3 different decades. To Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein was a terrific guy. Epstein believed himself to be Trump's closest friend and praised the future president as charming. Trump told New York Magazine in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Famously, you only say that someone's a terrific guy and you've known them for 15 years and they're a lot of fun to be with about your mortal enemies, actually." This quote, admittedly, in 2019, Trump attempted to play down the relationship, insisting, "I knew him like everybody else in Palm Beach knew him." Well, that's more a comment on the people in Palm Beach, to be fair, which is probably very well. Okay. You know what they say, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. That's so true. He was actually keeping tabs on Epstein. That's why that's why he called him a great guy and went to the island, potentially. I think that there are flight logs or flight records that show Trump. Let me find it. Hold up. I can't get sued by the president. Okay. That's too much smoke for me. That's even too much smoke for me. That might be even too much for me. All right. I'm going to be honest. But that would be kind of a crazy turn of events. That would definitely be the most insane universe, getting sued by President Donald Trump. That would be insane. That would actually be kind of crazy. I would know for sure that this was a simulation. Why can't I find... Hold up. Flight. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw that Trump was on the flight logs. 1993 to 1997, Trump flies on Epstein's private jets 7 times. During the times they were friends, Mr. Trump's name appeared 7 times in Mr. Epstein's flight logs. Mr. Trump flew on Mr. Epstein's private jets 4 times in 1993, once in 94, once in 95, and once in 97, according to the flight logs released as evidence in Miss Maxwell's trial. The flights were between Palm Beach and New York, including a stop in Washington, D.C. President has even acknowledged traveling on Mr. Epstein's plane, but he insisted he never accompanied him to his private island or engaged in any wrongdoing with the financier. This would be crazy, by the way. One deranged lawsuit at a time, Denim. That would be, yeah, exactly. But this would be, can you imagine getting sued by Donald Trump? They call her one shirt denims. That would be amazing. Okay.
10 years. Donald Trump.
Do you own a Canadian tuxedo? Not yet.
Told New York Magazine that he's known Jeffrey Epstein for 15 years and Jeffrey Epstein's a terrific guy. And Donald Trump said all of that to New York Magazine in the very same year. That shows you just how impossible it would be for Donald Trump to ever take questions under oath in this lawsuit. It's on video.
Likely the Supreme Court already ruled that presidents can't commit any crimes, so we're good.
Like friends in that video. Plaintiff has been damaged. That's what line 65 of the 18-page lawsuit complaint says. Plaintiff has been damaged. Donald Trump.
Also, an AOC statement. Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment does nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel nor end the flow of U.S. munitions being used in Gaza. Of course, I voted against it. What it does do is cut off defensive Iron Dome capacities while allowing actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue. I've long stated I don't believe that adding the death count of innocent civilians to this war is constructive to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinion that has since been long established. I remain focused on cutting the flow of U.S. munitions that are being used to perpetrate the genocide in Gaza. If not for the fact that I would never want to repost a stone toss meme, I would want to repost that one where it's like a they're like, it's a guy playing tug of war, and then he looks to his side and it's someone he wouldn't expect. And then he looks on the opposite side and it's people he wouldn't expect. This one, We Are All This. And then it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to cut off aid to Israel. And then on the other side, for some bizarre reason, AOC. It's just to appease fellow Congress people, right? Bad move. I mean, like, I want to explain this in a way that people explain Hamas's action, or actions rather, which is analysis is not justification. And I run into this problem where sometimes when I want to talk to Chad about an issue and I want to explain the perspective, people assume that I'm also taking this perspective. And I feel like sometimes people just want me to be like, I fucking hate her and I hate everything she stands for. And I hope they kick her out and they primary her and we remove all of these people, instead of just like, okay, this is why she's doing this. I disagree anyways. Yeah. So with that in mind, with that sentiment in mind, before I start, the idea is, it's like, okay, sorry, get to the point. The idea is that if this bill, which was like never going to pass, right? This, amendment, which was never going to pass. I mean, it was 422 to 6. Let me see if I can find it. For anyone who missed this, wait, hold. This was it. It was an amendment to cut funding for Israel, and it failed 6 to 422. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey, Al Green, Summerlee, Omar, and Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib. And this was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Today that cost the American people $831 billion. It's important to talk about that this is the funding for our great men and women serving in our military and our nation's defense. The Department of Defense's mission statement is to deter war and ensure our nation's security. And that is worthy of the American people's hard-earned tax dollars. However, the American people are $37 trillion in debt. So this is money that is being spent that they already don't have. My amendment would strike $500 million in funding for nuclear-armed Israel's missile defense system. And it's important to phrase it that way. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation, which is very capable of defending themselves, and they have been proving that so as we've watched on the world stage. The U.S. already provides Israel with $3.8 billion annually in foreign aid. $3.8 billion, that's a lot of money. Additionally, the April 2024 security supplemental included $8.7 billion for Israel. That is nuclear.
This is a peak. Heartbreaking. Worst person you know makes a good point. Peak. Can you even say this in Congress without taking it back and being shot? I'm shocked. I'm personally shocked. What is this weird ass, what is this bizarro Fed post bait? This is pretty pathetic Fed posting bait, bro. All right. So if an amendment is going to fail at this rate, at like a 6 to 422, there isn't really a point in voting against or voting for that amendment, because it's not going to win regardless. Like, you're so far away from the numbers that you need. Like, you're a mile away from the numbers that you need. And so the idea is that you participate in the system and you give people what they want in hopes that eventually you can get what you want, right? Unfortunately, that just like leads to a bunch of politicians like AOC that just give, it feels like, Democrats whatever they want, and Democrats just give Republicans whatever they want 95% of the time. And I fundamentally disagree with the system, and I don't think that we should engage with this system. That's some shaky ass ground to be standing on. I mean, yeah. It's a difference in like political thought on like whether or not it's worth participating in like the political plays. But I disagree. I think it's dumb argument, because if you're acknowledging your vote is meaningless, doesn't really give you much political capital either. I know you aren't endorsing the argument. Yeah. Also, you missed the best part of the clip. Oh, I mean, sorry, we've watched this clip a bunch of times. I'm happy to watch the rest of it.
And during the recent 12-day war, the U.S. used 15 to 20% of our terminal high-altitude area defense missiles stockpiles defending nuclear-armed Israel, which cost us over $800 million. The $500 million provided in this bill will fund Israel's, that is nuclear-armed Israel's, missile defense system, the Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow system. Yet Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. That's a pretty big deterrent for any of their enemies. Any nation that has a nuclear bomb has the greatest threat against their enemies. U.S. aid typically accounts for 15 to 20% of Israel's defense budget. even though Israel, nuclear-armed Israel, has universal health care for their citizens and subsidized college for their citizens. They're able to provide that. However, here in America, we're $37 trillion in debt. My amendment to strike $500 million in foreign aid will ensure an America First Department of Defense, and that is exactly what we need and we haven't had for a very long time. Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves.
Now she wants universal health care. No, she just doesn't want other people to have universal health care when we have to pay for it ourselves. She's been watching Hassan. He said this many times. No, I mean, she's also trying to actively remove funding when it comes to Ukraine. She just doesn't like the idea of, like, I've already said this before. Marjorie Taylor Greene believes everything she says. She is not a grifter. She is absolutely not a grifter. Like, she is the crazy QAnoner that sits at the Thanksgiving table. Also, the U.S. being in debt doesn't mean anything. The Treasury holds the power to print money as they please. The U.S. isn't tethered to gold anymore. Well, morons will be like, well, you guess what happens when you keep printing money? That's not the reason why the U.S. That's not the reason why the debt doesn't matter. The reason the debt doesn't matter is because the dollar has so much power over the world economy, and the U.S. government is seen as stable enough that the debts don't matter. Basically, that the U.S. is good for it. Currently, it's the only global reserve currency. Currently, that's not as true anymore. So the U.S. Debt might actually matter. This is maybe the first time in history that it will matter in, like, I mean, since we replaced gold. The points are made up and the rules don't matter. I mean, exactly, right? Again, the problem is that people treat, not people, but Fox News hosts treat the U.S. debt the way that, like, you would treat a person having debt, like me or you having debt, instead of treating it like a corporation that has debt. Can you imagine, like, a Fortune 500 company not having any debt? That would be a bad company to invest in. That's just not how companies operate, because if you have certain, like, growth expectations, certain quarter expectations, it doesn't make sense to hold off on expansions until you personally have the capital. It makes more sense to invest via debt, because you'll make more money in the long run off of the debt. So, like, it was always stupid to compare the U.S. debt to, like, an American, or to tie that to, like, an American, when in reality it's like a corporation. 1 second. All right. Anywho, what about burger debt? Explaining something to an American.
What about burger debt?
Imagine a burger. All right. Yeah, this is pretty pathetic, dude. I don't even have words for this, man. I don't even know what to say about this shit. It's just fucking disappointing. And it's like, dude, I really want to, like, I really want to support AOC, and I want to believe AOC all the time on everything, always. But it's so hard to support this shit. Okay. What did she say? Basically that Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment to cut off Israeli funding, it's going to cut off their Iron Dome funding. And that would be bad, because then there'd be more civilian deaths. I don't think we should do that. I think instead we should remove their offensive capabilities. And it's like, dude, we're not going to get either. Anywho, back to the Murdoch thing.
We start with multiple breaking news developments on Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Late today, Donald Trump filing a...
This is also a good point to finish up the AOC thing. You can support something or someone, AOC, over another thing, but still criticize her and hold her feet to the fire on her other issues. I mean, I agree with that. I disagree with the, like, idolization and, like, deity status that politicians have begun to hold in American, like, politics. But this is also a concept that I swear to God, conservatives literally can't understand this. They can't understand this. You criticize Trump and they're like, oh, so you love all liberals and you love Biden. You know, Biden also is creepy towards younger women. You know, Biden also sucks. You know, Biden's demented. It's like, okay, and I know you're too pussy to say it, but fuck Joe Biden. There you go. You can say the word fuck. No one's gonna get mad at you. Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. We know. We actually just criticize the people we vote for.
It's a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Trump denies the story. Quote, "This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women."
When he said that stars could do certain things, he was absolutely talking about himself and describing his own modus operandi. Those were things that juries 2 juries of his New York peers held against him in the E. Jean Carroll case. If his defamation case were to go that far, Donald Trump would have to sit for a deposition, exchange materials. But of course, Donald Trump is counting.
That's the bigger reason why, like, first of all, it's more likely than not that he drops the case, because this is not like a winning case. Unless the the Wall Street Journal totally fabricated the letter, which seems a little bold to do against a guy who's known for being a litigation guy. There's a higher likelihood that he ends up just dropping the case, because it's like, why, if your whole goal is to like bury the letter, why would you want to pursue a lawsuit that's going to expose the letter? It's just a strategy, the same way that the tariffs were a strategy to say, like, look, we're going hard on China. And then when it comes to actually like doing anything real with China, they're like, whoa, well, actually, could we get the computer part? Could we get the tariffs on the computer parts not actually there? Could we remove those? We're ready to talk whenever you are. We're ready to talk. It's just a signal to his audience. See, guys, I'm totally innocent of everything. Ignore my 34 felons. I'm totally innocent. I'm suing them because I'm innocent, and it's fake news.
Antonia, on it never going that far, because in the 2 lawsuits that he's filed to date against other media organizations, he has extracted settlements from them well before those things could ever happen. As we sit here tonight, is maybe days away from being demonized by this White House as just another radical liberal Donald Trump hating judge who didn't want to let the administration educate the public about the Epstein files. It plays, Antonia, right into their narrative about judges.
I mean, the craziest thing about this is that this is his strategy every single time. His strategy every single time with every single controversy is always, this is fake news, fake media, woke media. They're attacking me for no reason. Don't listen to them. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit as hard when only 4% of like the lean GOP people say that they are satisfied with how the Trump administration is handling the Epstein files. If it ain't broke, why fix it? Well, again, normally it works. This is one of the rare instances where it's not working. 3% is the lean Democrat. It's 4% for lean GOP. And it's just like, it's so satisfying. Honestly, you would think that it'd be any other controversy that might have brought Trump down, like the felonies, like starting a war with Iran unprovoked, like accepting bribes, like really like anything, like actually anything else. But it's the Epstein case. The Epstein case is the thing that he's struggling to bring back. Can we talk about the fact that like Fox News hosts are totally okay with just calling themselves Nazis? To reclaim the word?
Yeah, so that's the context for this clip. So let's see Greg Gutfeld proudly proclaim himself a Nazi.
All right, so Greg, I don't know if you saw the picture of the professor at Cal State Channel Islands who was arrested for tossing a tear gas canister back at ICE agents. He tried to say it wasn't him. He went and changed his clothes. He looked like trans Borat. It was not the most scintillating and attractive picture I had ever seen. So, but his mugshot, he was gleeful to have been arrested and wrapped up with this, because for them, they're just exploiting a moment, really probably for their progressive social media. Should we send them to Alligator Alcatraz?
Yes, absolutely. I think the scientific definition of him is asshole. This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis. Nazi this, Nazi that. I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Oh my God. Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
You what? You what? Who said it gets worse? No. How can it get worse?
Nazi, please.
Chat, like, I'm not joking. One insanely negative side effect of no infrastructure plus the internet, like no walkable cities plus the internet, is that people have just become so much more insane now. Because I will die on this hill as a true internet defender. I will die on the hill that the internet is a tool that could have easily been used for good more than for bad. Okay? But the lack of walkable cities, the lack of infrastructure, and the lack of quality living for people has made people just sit at home and abuse the internet. and get worse and worse into their rabbit holes. And it's made a lot more people way more comfortable with just being insane. Like this. Like, I'm not joking when I say I'm very excited to watch this tomorrow, because it's kind of crazy that people feel comfortable just calling themselves fascists and Nazis.
From the 1500s. So,
You don't look very Native American to me.
And we're like fried.
Thank God you did, Nazi. Hey, what up, my Nazi? Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there.
So for sure, absolutely the most remarkable.
So what do we do? Fox News has put out a video on Epstein. Well, they put out 2 or 3. They're not doing well.
Senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, fresh from the White House.
Trump has begun to refer to the Epstein client list story as the Epstein hoax. Uh-oh, the comments aren't good. Oh, first comment says, the little girls who were abused didn't think it was a hoax. Appalling. He certainly wasn't calling it a hoax before the last election. First, it was nothing to see. Then it was boring. Then it was a hoax. Then he called you stupid. Never forget. He also called his Russian connections a hoax. I'm seeing a pattern here. Release the list. This will not die. The corrupt politicians will be exposed. We're seeing unprecedented loss in supporters of Trump, including myself. This is something he will not recover from. Uh-oh.
White House briefing, and it was a packed one. Jackie, good afternoon.
The president is in agreement with those Republican leaders, and he's also in favor of releasing whatever is appropriate if more comes to light. But decisions about grand jury seals are up to a judge.
Those are also questions.
And as other people have pointed out, it just does, like the talking point that it was made by the crooked Democrats doesn't even make any sense, because then why were you guys saying you're going to release it instead of saying it was a hoax all along? And if the Democrats had all this damning information that's all a hoax on Trump, why wouldn't they have released it when they were in office?
For the judges who have that information under a seal, and that would have to be requested, and a judge would have to approve it. That's out of the president's control. He has said, in agreement with some of the leaders on Capitol Hill, that if the Attorney General and the Department of Justice come across any other credible evidence, they should provide that to the American people.
The press secretary said the president followed through on his promises to the American people. He called on the FBI and DOJ to do an exhaustive review of all of the material related to the Epstein case.
Really, all of it, huh? So what about this? What about the FBI being ordered to flag everything with Trump's name in it?
Good evening from New York. Donald Trump is doing his best to fight his way out of the Jeffrey Epstein mess he has created for himself. Tonight, filing a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and News Corp and Rupert Murdoch himself for their report of his alleged birthday letter to Epstein. Good thing, because people want transparency. They want the files released. But there's a huge caveat here. Not only is the department going to redact identifying information about the victims, which they very well should, they are also going to redact identifying information about anyone else whose name might come up in the documents in question. Quote, the department will work with the United States Attorney.
This is crazy. Ken Klippenstein being named in Trump's lawsuit. Ken Klippenstein, an independent social media influencer with over 540,000 followers on X.com, republished the headline and several false and defamatory statements from the article. To date, his republication has received over 1 million unique impressions. Back to the
His office for the Southern District of New York to make appropriate redactions of victim-related information and other personal identifying information prior to releasing the transcripts. But that is not the only big revelation we got today. The top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which of course oversees the FBI and the Department of Justice, now says that the Bureau agents were instructed to flag to DOJ about any Epstein records that mentioned Donald Trump. Get this is a new letter out today to Attorney General Pam Bondi from Ranking Member Dick Durbin, who writes this, quote, according to information my office received, you pressured the FBI to put approximately 1,000 personnel in its information management division on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records, adding, quote, my office was told these personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. It's not my words. Of course, Donald Trump has written many pictures.
You're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. This guy's been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this guy, this creep? Good copy pasta. Oh my God, dude. I'm honestly at this point, I genuinely think he forgot. He's 80, dude. 79. whatever. I think he forgot that he wrote it. I genuinely believe that he forgot.
In his life, like the ones you are seeing on your screen. Of course, Donald Trump has written many pictures in his life, like the ones you are seeing on your screen right now. In fact, people have been surfacing these pictures all day. It seems to be kind of like a thing he's into, actually. I've got to say, when the whole Epstein story first resurfaced, with the 2-page memo from the Department of Justice saying, it's done, case closed, nothing to see here, no client list, no nothing, right? My first instinct was not that there was an active cover-up of stuff about Donald Trump in the files. I thought most likely was that this administration, people around him, had very cynically hyped up the quote-unquote Epstein files to reach and mobilize a certain quadrant of voters. And then they realized they had overpromised and were going to underdeliver. And man, did they overpromise. At a certain point, the most plausible explanation for the facts is that there's some kind of cover-up here. The DOJ was tasked with vetting Epstein materials for mentions of the president Donald Trump, his buddy of 15 years, who said that...
Surely they were doing that for good reasons, right? Right? Also, careful, Chris Hayes. Careful, you can't say he's a buddy. You can't say that. You're going to get fucking sued by Trump, dude.
Jeffrey Epstein liked young women. And then subsequently, a decision was made not to release any more information on Epstein.
What's the good reason, LOL? Checks notes. There's no good reason. The only reason they would do this is just to fucking protect Trump. And that's it. That's it. That's the only reason.
Now, the Wall Street Journal makes clear that we don't know if this letter bearing Trump's signature...
And the only reason the Democrats didn't release it is because there's a bunch of fucking Democrats on it, too.
...previously reviewed by the Department of Justice was among the documents reviewed by this administration, right? That, like, some FBI agent was like, whoa, gosh, you got to see this, and flagged it. But if it was, and again, that seems plausible if it's in the record, it's hard not to see why they might come to the decision to just shut the whole Epstein thing down. Alex Wagner is an MSNBC senior political analyst. Lisa Rubin is an MSNBC legal correspondent, just published a new piece about Trump firing Epstein prosecutor Maureen Comey.
You know, I'm just going to say, this is the first Democratic W in a long time, in a long-ass time, that they've capitalized on this market. Because I'm going to be honest at this point, if you had to ask me, release the list or everyone in America gets free education, free health care, food, shelter, water, electricity, internet, and all other necessities. Like, I can pick one right now. I couldn't give a flying fuck about the list. I really, like, on things that matter, and even like in terms of sensationalizing media pieces, it's a whatever story, right? But because it makes Republicans so mad and they care so much about it, hell yes, dude, farm this shit. MSNBC farming the fuck out of this. ABC, CNN farming the fuck out of this. Yes, because, dude, Fox News is like scrambling to try and figure out how to cover this. Most recently, they've tried to push this angle.
All right, Sandra, let's bring in Shannon Bream, chief legal correspondent, anchor of Fox
I mean,
News.
yeah, Democrats literally haven't capitalized on anything in 15 years, more specifically liberals.
Sunday, I guess I could start us off with no more late shows. We're back to night court reruns, but there's other stuff going on, including
Greg Gutfeld.
President Greg, I mean, he's killing it, isn't he? Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Including.
Also, sorry, the reason why I give so little of a shit about the list is because I feel like there's a good chance the list gets released and no one gets punished. Like, literally, it'll be like Bill Clinton is on the list, Donald Trump is on the list, Vance somehow is on the list. Like, all these people are on the list. And it's just like, oh, well, we were gonna punish them, but then we didn't. Vance, no, dude, he goes for the couches. Stop. Don't forget Stephen King. Sorry, you're right, Stephen King. Right. Anon, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Being revealed to the public. How does this work and what would this entail?
It's really rare because, remember, it's an unopposed hearing, but the judge really has a lot of autonomy there. So it will be up to them to make that decision. And there's no, clock that's ticking when the Justice Department files this request. It's really at the judge's own timeline.
Right.
These are the same people who, when Democrats were in power, said they have complete and total power to release the list, and they're not releasing it. Now they're like, well, it's like the grand jury info is like at the whim of the judge, and we just like there's so little we can, like, they're pulling in the first time in like Republican history, I feel like, in forever, they're pulling a move from the Democratic playbook that never works, which is we just are powerless to do anything. And it's like, dog,
Okay, on Capitol Hill, just a little while ago, we saw yet another former Biden administration official up to talk to do an interview with, deposition, whatever, for the Oversight Committee.
She could have probably answered some of these questions, but the minute you open the door, then you've kind of pulled away the Fifth Amendment protection, at least for those subject matters you've been talking about. So unwise for her to answer any questions. So many of these folks have been...
Fox News pulling the "my lawyer can't do shit" angle. All right, okay. Let's see how people feel. Don't be fooled. Grand jury is only 1% of the files. Give us the entire Epstein files, everything. It's a red herring. The grand jury records is not the entire file. This is not a partisan issue. I don't care how many high-profile Republicans or Democrats are in those files. My loyalty are to the children who suffered abuse from these monsters. Release all the files. Prosecute the guilty regardless of the political party. Forget the grand jury transcript. Release the FBI files. Release the Epstein files. I hope he doesn't start World War III to get out of this. No thanks. Files, please. We don't want the trial. We want the evidence that brought him to the trial. Fox is weak. Let's not get lost in the weeds. We want the high-profile people named and prosecuted. We just want true justice for the victims. We said release the files. They said, well, release the court transcript. We want the files. He called us stupid weaklings. He's not pushing her to do anything. This is unbelievable. Watching this crap in real time. What a disgrace. What a scam. Okay, guys. So I'm friends with like a Trumper. They're like, they hate Democrats. It's a family friend. It's a family friend. Okay. Now, they hate Democrats a lot, and they fell for the propaganda that, like, Trump is an outsider, and so he's the only one that will, like, fix the system because he's not a politician. But they don't recognize that, yeah, he's not a politician. He's a con man, which is worse. Like Vin Diesel family or family. And, you know, I've been doing a great job, like, de-radicalizing them, honestly. And that's how I think you should treat your family members. Honestly, you should treat it as a mission to de-radicalize them. Now listen. If you have Trumper family members that are like super racist or bigoted and that's why they're Trumpers, you gotta, I think, kind of give up on that. Like, I think the only thing you can do with that is say like, hey, people aren't really debatable. So like, if you can cut them out, I think that's the only thing that they will respond to. But there's a lot of Trumpers that vote for Trump because they actually very foolishly think that he's going to fix the economy. And I think you can fix those people. And these people, not bigoted people, like at all, by any stretch of the imagination. They're closer to like white moderates than they are to Republicans, honestly. They just, again, they've lost faith in the two-party system and fell for the idea that Trump was actually going to be the non-politician that would fix the system, right? And so I like to have one or two of these people in my life at any given moment because it's a fun journey to try and talk to them and like de-radicalize them from some positions. And also, it helps keep me grounded in what their actual positions are, right? You're saying there's a line you can't let people cross, but on all the stuff that gets diluted by propaganda, you have to give it a chance, especially if it's family. Wait, I can't tell if you're disagreeing or agreeing. I can't tell. But I don't know. I think you should... No, agreeing. Okay. Got it. I think you should try and de-radicalize people. And I think if you try long enough, you can actually get people to flip. I mean, Mike talks about how he's de-radicalized his whole family and made them all into like liberals at the worst or leftists at the best. So if you think you can, you absolutely should. It's also good for testing your own beliefs under scrutiny as well. Correct. I agree with you. And luckily, as a leftist, you also don't like Democrats. So I feel like it's a lot easier to convince Republicans when you also hate Democrats, right? Because we're not partisan people. We're not like, oh yeah, the Democrats can never do any harm. But you get to understand those people. Again, when it comes to like bigots, like the people who say, yeah, I'm a fascist. Yeah, I think you're an immigrant, get out. Like those people, like, I don't know. I haven't figured out how to save those people. I think those people are just like, one chatter says, my mother's a lost cause. She's so racist, man. She just hates black people and Arabs. It feels so bad, man. Yeah, like, I don't know. I think that the only thing that those people will respond to is like saying, this is such a serious issue. It's so important that like, we can't talk if you think these crazy things. Like, I can't. Another chatter says, I've changed my mom and dad's opinions on a lot of things by talking to them. It's always worth it if there's someone who respects your opinion. Yeah. Or even just like being able to prime these people, because if you can prime the people that don't like Democrats and don't like Republicans to wait for a true socialist leader like a Bernie or a Mamdani, when the Bernie or Mamdani comes around, they'll vote with you because you set up the groundwork for that, for getting them to be able to recognize people who are actually not traditional politicians that actually do want to make the world better. So, moving on. I saw a bumper sticker this morning that said, doesn't play well with liberals. And I said to myself, you and me both, bro. Yeah. Most people are socialists. They just can't get past the bad labeling of being a socialist. Correct. Dude, the Medicare for All polling way back when, that the Bernie bros love that stat, myself included, where it was like, if you describe Medicare for All and you don't use any like buzzwords, people, it's like 90% of people are like, I want that. And then the second you say Medicare for All is a public health care option that the government would blah, 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 and it's a policy by Bernie, then they hate it. There's like 30% approval rating. It's crazy. Moving on. So I have a Trumper friend. And again, other than the fact that they vote Trump, and also it's a lot, to be clear, one last thing, it's a lot easier for me on a personal level to continue to be friends with these people and like try and de-radicalize them because I live in California. Like their vote literally doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if they vote for Trump forever. California's going to go blue. Whereas I know how like that, maybe I would struggle a little bit more if I was in like a red state, or if, God forbid, if I was in a swing state. It's like, dude, your vote literally does matter. It matters so much. And you're just fucking, you're picking diarrhea forever instead of puppies for everyone. So I was able to turn my liberal mom into a leftist by not using socialist buzzwords. Hey. Okay. So anyways, so I have a few Trumpers that I'm friends with, and I talk to them. They're fun people. They're just like, politically, it's just like, I don't know how you come to these decisions. I just genuinely don't understand. But anyways, every single issue that I've asked about with Trumpers, or this specific Trumper, they're always like, oh, like, it's actually Vance's fault. It's actually Elon Musk's fault. I actually like the tariffs. I actually think that this is good. It's like that for everything. And this has been the first issue that I've asked, like, what do you think about the Epstein files? And he's like, this is terrible. This is actually awful. Like, I'm not joking. This is terrible. Like, I'm so fucking disappointed in the Trump administration. It's like, oh, people are mad. Oh, people are pissed. Socialist buzzwords, you mean correct terminology? Correct. Words that are associated with nonsense that Fox News pushes. Non-shit ain't a joke to either side? Yeah. Do you think the U.S. refuses to get a good healthcare system so that they can keep a late group of the population as poor, so they can keep reproducing, as opposed to other countries where they have decreasing reproduction rates? I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with reproduction rates, to be quite honest with you. And because the problem is, like, making people poor in the U.S. hasn't even led to higher rates of childbirth. Like, that hasn't. But anyways, I do think keeping poor people poor and burying them in debt, medical or otherwise, is a great way to ensure class solidarity can't be formed, because people are so busy dealing with their own personal nonsense and bullshit that they don't have time to like build a community with other people, try and get a better life for themselves or for other people.